let's get this thing started. If you watch my previous video, you already know the whole summary of Treasure Island, or at least a basic outline of it. So now let's get started with what I have in mind today. Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island. And today we'll be doing a quick review of the book. By quick, I probably mean 7 to 6 minutes. So get in for a ride. You can play this video at 2 times speed if you wanna. Alright. This book is basically a lot about treasure, and it's not just about the treasure that's so important. It's also the whole plot, the theme, the characters, and the character development too. Pip at the beginning was like a good boy, a good younger man. Also in the movies he's portrayed as a little boy, not in his early teens, and that's nice too. This little boy, able to get through all of these hardships. That way he could just do a lot of things. In the beginning he was just hopeless, helpless, and was really a timid boy. But in the end, he was still the same adventurous boy, but with a bit more life in him. He was richer at least, and he did lose his family. But at least he can provide for himself now with all the treasure that he found from Flint's place. Yeah, this is going to be a long video. First off, let's actually talk about the quick plot. So, it's the classic story about Treasure Island. Also, this Robert Louis Stevenson is the first person to ever use that plot. Pip finds a treasure map from an old pirate who died of stroke at his dad's inn. And then later he uses that treasure map to go find Flint's ship and Flint's treasure. But however, the crew that was supposed to be helping him, the captain, who was also going to go for the treasure too, kind of mutiny against the captain, so they were on bad odds. A lot of people against just a few measly people. Just a little bit above 4. That is terrible. How are you gonna fight all those odds? How are you gonna fight all those odds? Eventually they are able to destroy all of them, and they get to better odds, and then they have a little truce, but then they find out, at least the pirates find out, that the treasure's not there, that someone else already took it, and eventually the mutineers mutiny against the captain, who flees to the loyal crew and becomes loyal, sort of. Gets all the way to Ben Gunn's cave, who turns out he's the one who dug up the treasure and has been rich for the past for several times, several days. Wow. And it just kind of goes off too much too, and eventually they become rich. Silver, that's the mutineer captain's name, just runs away with some of the gold that the captain and Pip and the doctor split the money, and they use it wisely. And someone else too. The doctor used it wisely, the captain used it wisely and is now retired. And Pip, he owns a shop. But the other person spends it all too foolishly, and he's used to be in debt, but then he became one of the best singers in the place. And that other person was Ben Gunn. He spent it all at once and lost it all in 3 weeks, and eventually he became just one of the best people in England, and he was one of the best church singers. It was nice. And now for a quick analysis. Now, there are a few themes that drive this. First of all, of course, there's an adventure theme. This adventure theme actually includes so much than the eye meets. One of the reasons that I'm saying all this is because that this thing has the great content that could capture the imagination of a child, and not just a child, but also an adult. This book, it was mentioned to be written for children, and it's still a classic children's story. However, it's also an adult novel too. An adult can read this and be a great guy, and he could be better at doing things. Just don't spend your wealth all at once. You can learn new things other than financial ways to spend 1,000 pounds of gold. You can find out, even if you're a little bit adventurous, how you can actually find out how to do all this. You can find out how to take risks. This guy took risks, and if Even if you are bored, you can just read this because it will be worth your time. This book is worth your time. It's enough to actually make you feel good, and it's enough to actually make you better at things forever. And why should you even read this book in the first place? You should read this book for your own enjoyment. That's why I actually started reading the book myself. It's a classic, and people, for some reason, always want to read classics just to say, like, it's my classic. It's a classic. And one more thing to mention here. Just remember this. Even if you're in one of the most unexpected places ever, and in one of the most unexpected consequences and problems, always know that there is a time when people are just awesome, and that you can always get out of any situation, no matter how hard it can be. You just have to think outside the box. You just need to think more. You can just run out of people. You can just run through them. I don't care if you take a little damage. If you survive, it's worth it. And of course, if you're free too, that's worth it too. And in conclusion, this book, Treasure Island, is a book created by Robert Louis Stevenson with his own little original lyrics and other things too. This book gives us a lot of adventure and gives us excitement so that we can just read it for our own, and you can just read it for our own little enjoyment. If you analyze this really carefully, you will actually find out that even sometimes in sticky situations, you can always get out. No matter if you're in a pirate or you're drowning and you have a little bit of help, all you have to do is think of a way out. Think outside the box, as they say. You should read this because of the enjoyment, the excitement it gives, inspiration you might need, and life lessons that it teaches you. And you want to learn life lessons after all. I hope you guys enjoyed this summary and analysis and review of Treasure Island. If you guys really enjoyed Treasure Island or just want to start reading it yourself, I highly recommend the book. 10 out of 10 stars. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Schnan out. Peace.